Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to a special episode of the Movie Crusaders. My name's Sean Wasserkrug, and with me, as always, is my co-host of the Weekend Crusaders, or I guess the Weekend Crusaders is done, so I probably shouldn't say that anymore. You're just a Movie Crusader co-host now. Brian Michaels is with me here, and we are here to discuss our most anticipated films of 2022. This is our third time doing this, or is it our second time?
I believe it's a third.
I know we did it last year. I just can't remember if we did the year before. We talked about our most anticipated films that we're excited for coming out in the new year. Half of them end up not coming out this year. Hopefully, that's not going to be the case this year.
Maybe.
I would say, yeah, maybe. I would say if we can get at least 80% of our anticipated, that's a great year. Because I think last year we got maybe 60% of the movies that we anticipated actually came out.
I think I got actually most of them. I want to say out of, I don't know what I mean, like a list of 25, there's probably still like 5 or 6 that still got delayed. But yeah, pretty good percentage.
It wasn't like 2020 when 10%.
No. I honestly think most everything for this year will come out because I think studios are done pushing stuff back. But who knows? At this point.
But the question, with everything going rampant now, all of a sudden, I wouldn't be surprised if something happened. And
yeah, you probably should have put a question mark on that 2022 behind you.
Yeah, but the problem is they wouldn't see me, or they wouldn't see it behind me. But anyway, we're talking about our most anticipated films. We're not going to go into the super greatest detail with these because a lot of these movies, we just know the title and the supposed plot. A lot of these don't have trailers. A lot of them just have pictures. And a lot of them are just concept ideas that sound really, really cool. So there's not really a whole lot to go into. Now, when we get into our top 10 and stuff like that, there's some serious okay, we know what this is.
Especially when we get in the top half, I find this is every year though. I find it to tend to be a lot of sequels and a lot of franchise things, just because those are the ones you know more about going into them.
Exactly. Whereas our I don't want to say our miscellaneous, but I'm just saying the movies that
the original properties we don't necessarily know so much about. Yeah,
they're going to be lower on our list because
mostly
we're going based off of cast and we're going based off of directors and stuff like that. It's hard to on paper this looks good, and then we see a trailer
that's actually why this is actually, of all the videos we're doing this year-end stuff, or year beginning stuff, I guess this is actually the one I enjoy doing the most because it is a big question mark, because there's going to be stuff you anticipate that you're see even just when you see a trailer for, much less the movie, you're never mind. I already took some off the list because trailers came out.
I mean, let's look at it like this. When we were talking about our most disappointing and surprising and best and worst of the year, there was 2 movies that we talked about that we were we saw the first trailer and we were but then they ended up being great, which was Raya and the Last Dragon and Ghostbusters Afterlife, and for you, Spider-Man No Way Home. Whereas, first trailers can be deceiving, or they could be spot on like F9.
Yeah. And then my other favorite thing is just that there's going to be stuff that's going to make my top 20 that I don't even know about right now. That's the ones I love that just come out of nowhere. You're whoa, I didn't know this movie existed.
Oh yeah, because there's so many. There's so what was it
especially with the streaming stuff.
Oh yeah, there's so The Harder They Fall, which was my number 2 of last year. I didn't know that movie. January of last year, I never knew that movie even existed. And stuff like that. So it's a weird thing to do a list right now, but it's the normal thing to do. What are we excited for coming?
This is what we're anticipating. We're not saying it's going to be the best at the end of the year. We're saying as of now, this is what we're anticipating.
I'm sure at least. Well, I think what was it this past year? I said, except for Avengers Endgame, because it's Avengers Endgame. I think this was the first time in a long time that my number 1 most anticipated ended up being my number 1 movie of the year. Normally, my top 5 don't end up being in my top 5 best of at the end of the year. If anything, they end up being in my most disappointed because I had such anticipation for them and they don't hit their marks. But we both have 35 movies that we're talking about. I know that sounds like a lot, but
a lot of overlap, people. Don't worry.
Exactly. I'd say I told Brian, my over under is 5 movies that differ between me and Brian and our 35. Maybe.
I'd be a little higher than that just because I did some digging. Okay.
Maybe. But so what we're going to do is we're going to go through our miscellaneous, or not miscellaneous, our honorable mention. I don't know why miscellaneous keeps popping in my brain. So we're going to go through our 26 through 35 and just kind of go through them. Some of them are quick and others are just kind of maybe a little bit to talk about because maybe some of them had trailers already. Since I always talk too much at first, Brian, let's go with yours first.
All right. So there's going to be some weird stuff on here. I do want to say first, there are some movies that I didn't put on the list because I don't think they're actually happening this year. The one would be my top 10 if it happened. Young Guns 3. But they're supposedly making this movie. It's being written, but I don't think it's coming out this year.
That's the only way you're gonna get me to watch Young Guns 1 and 2 is that Young Guns 3 is coming out.
Good movies.
I have to catch up.
I love those movies, and I would love to watch a third one. And it is apparently happening, but I don't think it's happening this year. There's some other ones, but I won't say them because they could be on your list for all I know. Okay. All right, 35. Sci-Fi Channel original.
You lost me already.
Bring It On, Cheer or Die. This is at 35 for a reason. The Bring It On movie, and then they made like a bunch of straight-to-video sequels.
Why is it a sci-fi movie?
Huh?
Why is it a sci-fi movie?
Because it's a horror movie. They're taking Bring It On. It's called Cheer or Die, making it a horror movie, and that alone just has me want to see it as a guilty pleasure. That's the only reason it's at my 35.
Oh,
I'm sure it has nobody cast in it and stuff like that.
The problem is if Happy Death Day hadn't already happened, that could be a perfect.
Yeah. Missy Pyle is in it. I like her. All right. Yeah. And number 34 is a trailer just came out recently. Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is like the multiverse, but like almost kind of a indie movie kind of version of it, starring Michelle Yeoh. It's got Jonathan Kwan, who was Short Round and Data in the 80s movies. Bunch of other people in it, but this one it looked very intriguing to me. It's just I kind of like the concept of it.
I saw the trailer for it. It was just like, I don't know if this is like up my alley or if it's just a little too far weird for me to like it, so I didn't have it on my list.
Number 33 for me is a movie called Not Okay. This is a movie. It's on my list basically because of cast alone. It stars Zoe Deutsch, got Dylan O'Brien in it. It's basically a woman who's like, obsessed with social media and she wants to live her life on there. She fakes a trip to Paris, but then some terrifying incident takes place in the real world and becomes part of her trip. And it's a whole thing. This is down in the 30s because it's cast alone. Want to see that because it's Zoe Deutsch. We love her.
Zoe Deutsch and Dylan O'Brien.
Dylan O'Brien.
That's a lock in for me. And I never heard of this movie, so I didn't put it on my list. It would have been on my list based off that cast.
Another one called Rosaline. I love Shakespeare movies. Rosaline is basically the girl who Romeo is with before he meets Juliet in Romeo and Juliet. This is based on a novel. It's a modern twist in the classic tale where basically you see the entire Romeo and Juliet story told through the eyes of Rosaline, who's basically the girlfriend who's getting jilted essentially. This one stars Caitlin Dever, who we all know from Booksmart and other stuff. It's got Minnie Driver, Isabella Merced, who I've always liked in the stuff she's done. Bradley Whitford, a couple other people. Again, just because I'm a Shakespeare nut, it's on my list. Number 31 is an Amazon Prime movie called I Want You Back, featuring Charlie Day and Jenny Slate. It's a romantic comedy.
I did see the trailer for this.
If you've ever seen the movie Addicted to Love with Matthew Broderick and Meg Ryan, it seems like it's essentially the same movie, but I love Charlie Day and I love Jenny Slate, and I'm looking forward to this movie. Comes out.
I saw that trailer and I immediately was like, this is Addicted to Love.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about this movie. I would have put it on my list too, and I totally forgot about it.
Number 30. Sean's going to have this one higher. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
I definitely have that higher.
I honestly had it higher until I saw the trailer. It lowered it a little bit for me. It's Nicolas Cage playing like a heightened version of himself, basically. That's all you need to know about this movie. It's Nicolas Cage playing himself. It's got Pedro Pascal in it as well, Neil Patrick Harris. The saddest part is it has Tiffany Haddish in it. That takes away from it right there. Yeah.
But she wasn't in the trailer.
The trailer, it didn't disappoint me. It just lowered my expectations for it. I'm still looking forward to it. It's in my top, 35 here. Number 29, an Apple Plus movie. So I'll have to get Apple Plus for a month to watch this. Emancipation. Antoine Fuqua movie starring Will Smith as an escaped slave or emancipated slave. I'm not sure all the details on it. But it's basically this year's Will Smith Oscar role. Also has Ben Foster in it and a few other people.
Which you and I both love Ben Foster. So,
yeah. Number 28, a Disney Plus movie, Disenchanted. The sequel to Enchanted. Amy Adams, James Marsden, Patrick Dempsey, Idina Menzel, they're all coming back. Adds in Maya Rudolph, Yvette Nicole Brown, Jayma Mays. So I'm just looking forward to this. I enjoyed the original very much. So.
Well, I did too, but do you really think it's coming out in 2022?
Yes.
Okay.
During the
I hadn't heard anything. So
Well, they did a Disney Plus Day or something at the end of last year, and one of the things they had a segment of those two talking about, saying, "Hey, we're filming now. We look forward to showing this to you next year," kind of thing.
Gotcha. It'll be interesting because Amy Adams is a way different actress now compared to when she did the first.
She is, but I think that's the kind of thing that maybe can play into this. You know, it's like see where they are now and down to the Disenchanted. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
27. Baz Luhrmann's Elvis movie. I love Baz Luhrmann when he does wacky stuff. You know, when he's doing Moulin Rouge and Romeo and Juliet. His more straightforward stuff, like Australia, Great Gatsby, things like that. They aren't. I don't love those as much, but I'm looking forward to this one because I do like Baz, and it's got Tom Hanks playing the Colonel, basically the manager, Elvis's manager, who let him throughout his career. So between Luhrmann and Tom Hanks, this one is really, I'm anticipating this one. And my last honorable mention is Prey, which is a new movie in the Predator franchise. It takes place like 300 years ago, though. It's like in the Comanche Nation. It's basically, I think, this Native American woman fighting off the Predator. And just put a Predator in anything and I'll watch it. So there you go.
See, Brian does a lot more digging than I do. And at least
I got bored one night and just dug.
At least 6 of those, I'm like, fuck, I would have put those on my list if I knew about them. Like Disenchanted and I forgot about Prey. I really did forget about Prey. The thing is, I probably saw Prey, and because they don't have like an actual like Predator picture for it, I just looked at it and was like, all right, move on. Same thing with like Disenchanted. I probably just saw the name Disenchanted and was just like, whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of good movies there that would have been on my list had I probably dug a little deeper on that. That was your 35 through 26?
Yes.
Okay. My 35 through 26, definitely, in my opinion, not nearly as good as Brian's. 35 for me is a trailer. I saw the trailer for it. The first trailer I saw, or it was like the teaser, I was like, this isn't going to be for me. But then I saw an actual trailer of it. And the first half of it, I was like, yep, this is still not for me. And then the second half of the trailer kicked in. I was like, okay, all right, you maybe have won me over. And that was Disney's Pixar's Turning Red. Basically about a girl who, it's kind of like if Teen Wolf for a kid, but she's not a wolf. She's like this big red furry bear kind of character. And she's like, middle school. It's basically her trying to, get kind of like Teen Wolf. It's basically Teen Wolf, but for, Pixar. But yeah, the first half of the trailer I wasn't really sold on, but the second half of the trailer I was like, all right, this actually could be really good. So that's my 35. 34 is another animated film. I saw the trailer for it recently here, and that's called The Bad Guys. And the main selling point is Sam Rockwell is the lead in it. And he plays like I'm pretty sure he's a wolf in this, but it's like, it's on the same precipice of like Zootopia where you had Jason Bateman as the fox. It's like, come on, like you already sold me. Like, and there's a snake in it. And
honestly, I forgot about this one. It probably would have been about the same area on my list, but yeah, it's based on a series of books, I believe.
Yeah, so I mean, just enough from the trailer. I mean, I didn't like love the trailer, but it was enough for me to be intrigued by seeing it, especially like I said with Sam Rockwell. Number 33 will be a shocker for Brian because we all know how much I fucking hate Guy Ritchie. But I saw this trailer. I kind of want to see it, which is Operation Fortune. Fuck, how do I already say the rest of the title?
You don't need to read the rest of the title.
Yeah, it's blah, blah, blah. But it's got Jason Statham, Hugh Grant, Audrey Plaza, and Josh Hartnett. And it's basically, just watch the trailer. I mainly am wanting to see this for Josh Hartnett because I hadn't seen Josh Hartnett in anything in so long. The way his character is in this movie, I'm just like, oh, I gotta check this out just for Josh Hartnett. And then of course Audrey Plaza. I love Audrey Plaza. And Hugh Grant looks like he's having fun in this as well. Hugh Grant's kind of like, over the last couple of years, Hugh Grant's actually like, let's have fun with movies now.
Did you ever watch The Gentleman?
I never did watch The Gentleman, though.
Hugh Grant was really good in that. Now, like, I will say, The Gentleman still had a lot of Guy Ritchie-isms, but I will say that last year's Wrath of Man, if this is anything like that with Jason Statham, it wasn't a lot of that Guy Ritchie style that you hate so much. It was a more straightforward film. So,
well, it's like ever since Hugh Grant did Paddington 2, I feel like Hugh Grant's actually been like, let's just have fun now. Like I'm at this point, like I'm not looking for like the Oscar roles. I just want to have.
Well, I think he's at the point now where he's like, I'm not going to play the young leading man anymore, so I can just get some more meaty roles I can have fun with. Yeah, like you said.
Yeah. So shockingly, a Guy Ritchie film has popped up on my list. Number 32. I fucking hated the last one to the nth degree, but I gotta see how it ends, and that's Halloween Ends. Anyone who watched disappointing and worst movies of the year, I hate Halloween Kills with a fiery passion. But this is the final one in the trilogy, and I just got to see how it ends. I'm sure I'm not going to like it. If it at least matches the first film, I think I'll be okay. But if it's anything like the second film, we're going to be talking about this again at the end of the year.
Before Kills came out, I would have assumed this would be on my list for this year. But once Kills came out, I'm like, nope.
Yeah, I still just have to see how it ends. That's why it's so low. 31 is a movie I don't really know a whole lot about. I'm literally just going off of plot and the cast, and that is the movie. It's called 65. I know they've started shooting it, but basically it's about an astronaut who crash lands on a mysterious planet, only to discover that he's not alone. And there's only 3 cast people in it right now. One's Andrew Driver, Adam Driver, who we love. And then the other 2 are 2 girls. One is Ariana Greenblatt. Most people know as young Gamora, but I know her from Love and Monsters, who I love. And the other one is Chloe Coleman, who people will know from My Spy, and then one of my surprise hits of the year, which was Gunpowder Milkshake. So I really like these 2 young girls and how they perform movies, and then throw them with Adam Driver. I'm not sure if this is a drama, if it's a comedy, but you got those 3 together, and based off this plot, I'm super, super intrigued by it.
And actually, I think I've gotten those 2 girls mixed up before. So.
Nothing alike. They look nothing alike. This one is just on for director and cast alone. Plot-wise, it doesn't really sell me, so it literally is plot and director, and that is Canterbury Glass, which is David O. Russell's next film, which everyone knows I love The Fighter. And this basically revolves around a doctor and a lawyer who form an unlikely partnership. It's got Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, John David Washington, Rami Malek, Zoe Saldana, Anya Taylor-Joy, Taylor Swift, Timothy Olyphant, Michael Shannon, Chris Rock, Mike Myers, Robert De Niro, and Leland Orser. All people that we, for the most part, really like.
That's a great cast.
I'm super, super intrigued based off the cast alone. Granted, the title and the picture that they have for it on Letterboxd, that's not selling me on it, but the cast is selling me on it.
I mean, it's a great cast, and I considered that one, but it's David O. Russell is so hit and miss for me. Like for every 3 Kings he does, he'll do an I Heart Huckabees, and you're just like, eh.
Or didn't he do American Hustle?
Yes.
Yeah, I was in American Hustle.
Yeah.
But I love The Fighter. The next one for me, I feel like is going to be one of those movies that I put on the list and then I'm going to forget about. And then all of a sudden it'll just like pop up. I'm like, what's this movie? Oh my God, it's this movie. And this movie's called Duel. Duel is basically, I'm just going to read the plot summary real quick. A terminally ill woman opts for a cloning procedure to ease her loss on her friends and family. When she makes a miraculous recovery, her attempts to have her clone decommissioned fail and leads to a court-mandated duel to the death. Starring Karen Gillan, who I love, and also has Aaron Paul, who I love. So that plot sounds freaking awesome. And then you have those 2 leads, and I am all for this. Now, could this be a Netflix movie or a straight-to-streaming movie? Sure. But that plot basically sold me on that movie with Karen Gillan, because I will pretty much watch anything with Karen Gillan and Aaron Paul. I mean, come on, Breaking Bad. I mean, why wouldn't I watch Aaron Paul on anything?
I had never heard of this movie.
Yeah. There's the only thing that you can see right now is a weird picture of it's got like a black body with a mirror on it, and it's Karen Gillan facing the mirror with Aaron Paul in between them, with the mirror of her looking back, like looking at like a clone kind of thing. It's a very eerie photo. And then you hear that plot, you're like, this actually looks super, super
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 28, we actually just talked about right before we hopped on air, because we're not sure if this movie is going to be coming out this year or not. And that is Tom Clancy's The Division. Based off the video game. It's It's one of those that like the video game is pretty cool, but it's the plot and then it's the lead that has locked me in. It's not the game, it's the plot and the lead, which for the plot for The Vision is in the near future, a pandemic virus is spread via paper money on Black Friday. Okay, cool. Disseminating the city of New York and killing millions. By Christmas, what's left of society has descended into chaos. A group of civilians trained to operate in catastrophic times are activated in an attempt to save who and what remains. And it's starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Jessica Chastain and Nicolas Cage. So that right there, you have me locked in. Like I said, the Vision game is pretty cool, but that plot and those three leads, I'm sold. But we don't think it's coming out in 2022.
Yeah, this was on my list, and I was looking to trim it down, and then I realized I looked up some information, and the director, Rawson Thurber Marshall, whatever, he's done a lot of Dwayne Johnson's movies. He basically said, yeah, looks like we'll actually get to film next year, being 2022, which tells me it's probably not coming out this year, but we'll see.
Yeah. My next one is The Northmen. The trailer dropped earlier this month or last month, I guess. Director is Robert Eggers, who did The Lighthouse 2 years ago, which I thought was really eerie, but beautifully acted by Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. The trailer, I really like the trailer. It's basically about a young Viking prince who embarks on a quest to avenge his father's murder. Alexander Skarsgård's in it, Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicole Kidman, Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe is back on this again. Watch the trailer. If you liked the show Vikings at all, then this is right up your alley, I feel. And I loved Vikings, so that's why this one's on my list. Number 26, this is literally for cast alone, and the director, and that is Don't Worry, Darling. Don't Worry, Darling is directed by Olivia Wilde, which obviously we know from Booksmart, as well as her as an actress. But it's basically a housewife living in a utopian community in the California desert uncovers a disturbing truth about her seemingly perfect life, and it stars Florence Pugh. It does have Harry Styles, but also
they had Shia LaBeouf, but he got fired.
Yeah, I wish he would have kept Shia LaBeouf. But yeah, Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, Chris Pine, Olivia Wilde's in the film as well, and Nick Kroll also in it. So, like I said, based off Florence Pugh, and then Olivia Wilde directing it. That's why that one's on my list, and that is my 35 through 26.
All right.
So now we are going into our top 25, which is what we were initially going to do, but then we're like, I have more than 25 movies, so let's just go through this. I'll go ahead and jump into my 25. I feel like this is also on your list, so that's why I'm going first with it. My number 25 is just based off of cast alone and the director, and that is Bullet Train. Bullet Train is directed by David Leitch, and it is about 5 assassins aboard a fast-moving bullet train to find out that their mission have something in common. Brad Pitt, Aaron Taylor-Johnson. Hello, I was just calling out that someone needs to give Aaron Taylor-Johnson. Hopefully he's actually doing something big in this movie, and he's not just a small part. Zazie Beetz, Michael Shannon, Sandra Bullock, Logan Lerman, Brian Tyree Henry. It loses points for having Bad Bunny in it. But yeah, this cast sounds really good with, basically with this plot. Was this on your list or no?
It is.
Okay. What's your number 25?
My number 25 is one that was on last year's list because thought it was coming out, but we don't know. It's called Escape from Spiderhead. This is a Netflix action movie. It's directed by Joseph Kosinski, who did like Tron Legacy and Oblivion. He's doing the new Top Gun movie. But it's an action adventure movie with Chris Hemsworth and Miles Teller and Journey Smollett are your 3 leads. I like all 3 of those people. Journey really I only know from Birds of Prey, but I liked her in it. The only synopsis I have: in the near future, 2 convicts confront their past in a facility run by a visionary who gives them emotion-altering drugs. Don't know anything about it, but Chris Hemsworth, I always love. Joseph Kosinski, I've really liked most of his movies, so I'm looking forward to this movie.
Yeah, my 24 also don't know anything about this movie at all, except for the director and the 3 leads, and that is Jordan Peele's Nope. Jordan Peele, so far, 2 for 2 on his directing films with Us and Get Out. This is going to star Daniel Kaluuya again, Keke Palmer, Stephen Yeun, who anyone who watched The Walking Dead, you guys know who Stephen Yeun is, or Yeun, however you want to say that last name. No plot summary at all. All we got is that ominous poster picture.
That's what Jordan Peele does. It'll be about 2 months before it comes out when we finally figure out what it's about.
Exactly, because that's what Jordan Peele does, which I respect.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, so that was my 24.
All right, my 24, another one from last year, and then it's supposed to come out early this year. We'll see. It's Jackass Forever. This one honestly was higher on my list, but it's been delayed so long, it's just dropping a little more because I'm just sick of seeing the trailer before every single movie I see. But I love the Jackass movies for what they are. It's not high art filmmaking, but they are fun as hell to watch, especially in a theater with a crowd busting up laughing. Although if it's supposed to come out in like February at this point, I think. If things keep, we've seen the first delay again with Morbius. If there's a movie that's going to end up getting bounced to Paramount Plus, I think this is the one.
I agree.
It just feels like a movie that they could easily just throw on, which I actually would disappoint me because as much as I'll enjoy watching it, I would enjoy watching it more with like a crowded theater. If nothing else, maybe I'll jump online and watch it with you just because it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, that's probably I feel like, yes, that was one of the better parts about watching the first 3 Jackass movies was watching it in a crowd and just watching everyone just laugh their ass off. Especially the first films.
I have no evidence it's getting moved to Paramount Plus, but it's like if there was a movie on my entire list that's going to get bounced to streaming, that would be the one I would think it would be. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. My number 23 I'm excited for it, but it has been getting a lot of negative feedback with its casting choices, and that is Super Mario Brothers. What?
Nothing, go ahead.
Hey, we all shit on Sonic, and Sonic ended up being a pretty solid film.
But you can't improve on the Super Mario Brothers movie, can you?
Look. Yeah, Super Mario Brothers. It is. A lot of people are shitting on it because they casted Chris Pratt as Mario, but it's like just leave Chris Pratt alone, guys. I like Chris Pratt, but once again, third time. Anya Taylor-Joy. She's gonna be busy this year. Charlie Day. I hope to God he's Luigi. Is he Luigi? He is Luigi. So Charlie is Luigi. Just sounds like perfect casting. Jack Black is Bowser. So, I'm so in. Keegan-Michael Key is Toad. Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong. Fred Armisen's Cranky Kong. Just the cast choices for a lot of these, I'm so for this.
Honestly, I'm gonna see it, and I am kind of looking forward to based on the cast alone. The Mario property, I've never been big on because I haven't been really into Nintendo since pre-2000.
Yeah.
So based on the cast alone, though, I hope that it sounds like it's gonna have a good comedic tone to it.
I hope it. If it's anything like Lego Movie, I think it'll.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. So that was my 23.
My 23 is actually one that's coming out relatively soon. I think it's called Ambulance.
That's higher up on mine, but yeah.
This is Michael Bay. Now people shit on Michael Bay. He makes fucking fun action movies. Now Transformers movies got into way excess, and yes,
take the Transformer movies out. Throw them
Transformers movies out. You got the Bad Boys movies. You got Island. You got The Rock. You got
Game.
13 Hours. If you want to go a little bit more serious side to it,
you can throw 6 Underground to the trash as well because 6 Underground sucked. But
this is one. It's Michael Bay going back and doing like a non-property, just a one-off movie again. You got Jake Gyllenhaal, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen,
and your favorite.
And the main appeal for me, Isaac Gonzalez, the most beautiful woman working today. She's in it, so that's a big plus to it. Also, Garrett Dillahunt, who I think is a very underrated actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one that the trailer is out. It's coming out relatively soon. I don't know the exact date offhand. But it looks like a good, just fun action movie. Michael Bay getting back to Michael Bay roots, So
based off of that trailer, it's actually a lot higher on my list. So I'll be talking about here in a little bit. But you basically kind of covered everything. My number 22. Honestly, I don't see this coming out. I really don't. But based off of what it is and who the lead is, I'm so for this, and that's Dragon's Lair. Dragon's Lair.
Dragon's Lair, yeah.
No, it's Dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dragon's Lair.
That's fine. It sounded like you said Dragon Slayer.
Lair.
Yeah.
Lair. Dragon's Lair is a video game property from the 1980s. This is my dad's favorite video game. It is the most frustratingly stupid hard game I've ever played. But graphically was gorgeous for the 1980s.
Don't forget, Sean has a hard-on for Don Bluth animation. So.
Oh, this is why you're not going to watch it, because it's Don Bluth.
That's not true. Not true. Go ahead. Keep
but
going.
Here's the reason why I'm sold on this. The lead of does the Knight ever have an actual name? I don't know if the Knight actually has a name. Dirk the Daring. Yeah, Dirk the Daring. It's Ryan Reynolds. I mean, come on. Seriously? How can you not pick a Dragon Slayer movie and with Ryan Reynolds and not be excited for it? I don't know if it's coming out this year, but you tell me Dragon Slayer the movie starring Ryan Reynolds as Dirk the Daring, I'm 100% excited for this movie. Whether or not it's it's going to be the animation style. It's not going to be live action, which the animation style, all you got to do is just use the animation from the game.
Exactly.
It'll be fine. But yeah.
Yeah, this was on my list until I was trimming it down again because I don't think it's coming out because not only is it, we just heard about it super recently, like basically just announced this thing, but it also has no cast list aside from Ryan Reynolds. So which makes me think, I'm like, is it really coming out?
I don't think about the Dragon's Lair game. Outside of the princess, there's not really a whole lot of voice acting needed for it.
Right, but I mean, you figure they got to add in more characters to make a whole show out of it.
Maybe.
I will say, when I was a kid, I mean, even in the arcades, this is a game that was made on Laserdisc, essentially.
Yeah.
And it had like the worst thing, the whole gameplay counted on your timing. When you're dealing with Laserdisc, that has like bad timing. So it's an impossible game to play. But
it's a quarter eater.
It looked fun. I looked at the main character. I could totally see Ryan Reynolds' voice coming out of him. And so I'm excited to see it. But again, I don't think it's coming out this year.
But that's my 22.
22 for me, I think lower than most people would expect, is The Flash.
On my list.
A lot of DC movies I don't care that much about, but there are many that I do enjoy. The Flash character is fine. They're doing the whole essentially multiverse thing going on again, which again, you've had Spider-Verse and then now you've had Spider-Man No Way Home. So it's going to kind of feel like they've stolen their thunder in as far as bringing in the other Batman and things like that. But at the same time, you do get Michael Keaton back as Batman. So that alone deserves a spot on my list. And I am looking forward to see what they're doing with this, but we'll see.
In Flash's defense, when you're saying in the MCU, DC did it first by doing it on their CW shows. They did the multiverse years ago on
shows kind of suck.
Yes, but I'm just saying DC did it first, not MCU.
Oh no, I'm not saying that it was an unoriginal idea that they had. I'm just saying that even like a lot of times, like somebody has a better movie, but the other one comes out first.
Yeah,
so it steals the thunder, and so you'll be like, oh, they're just copying them. You know?
Yeah. It does feel like they're all doing the multiverse at the exact same time. Yeah. So that's like spread it out a little bit. My number 21 is another animated film. I remember the first time I heard of this movie, I was like, really? This is an unnecessary film. But then I saw the animation of it and I saw the lead voice for it. And then I saw the first trailer and I'm immediately intrigued. I don't know if it's going to be good, but it's Disney. It's going to be good. And that is Lightyear. I love the Toy Story films. We know how much I love the Toy Story films. I love Buzz Lightyear. So when I heard that this is basically a movie about the actual character Buzz Lightyear and not the toy Buzz Lightyear, I was a little kind of hesitant at first. I was like, do we really care enough to want to see this? But then they casted Chris Evans as Lightyear. And then I saw the animation of it and the way it looks. And I'm like, color me intrigued. I'm actually excited to see it now. Whether or not it's going to be good is an entirely different situation. But with the cast of, Chris Evans and then Taika Waititi is also in it as well. That's a really, outside of Moulin, they haven't really given anyone else, cast wise. Definitely worth checking this one out for visualizations and Chris Evans alone.
I did not include this on my list. It's one I'm going to watch, and I hope it's very good. And I like the cast as well. The Toy Story movies, the last one just felt like a cash grab. I didn't even think it was very good either, personally. So I do like that they, instead of making a Toy Story 5, they said, what can we do with this property that's different? And to make it be about basically the real, quote unquote, astronaut or whatever that they base the toy on, I thought that was a clever take on it. So we'll see what they do with it.
What is your 21?
21, and I would also just like to say that your over under is shot because out of your first 15 films, we've overlapped on 3. So there's more than 5 that we differed on.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, you said we were going to differ on maybe 5, and so far we differed on 12.
All right.
Far. Okay. My 21 though is another one. It is Nope, which again, don't have anything more to add to this conversation because we don't know anything about it other than it's Jordan Peele and the cast, and I'm sold.
My number 20, I'm sure, is higher on Brian's list. This has been on our most anticipated for all 3 years of us doing this, and that is Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, we've already spoken about this movie 2 separate times before. It's the Top Gun sequel. They pretty much have shown the same trailer for over a year now, and it just keeps getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's pushed back again. But yeah, this watch them do Top Gun Maverick, and then next week, the following week, it's the new Mission Impossible movie. Just to go, we're going to Top Gun it up this month. But yeah, there's not really much more to say on it. It's just that it used to be higher, but each time it gets pushed further back, it drops lower and lower on my anticipation.
Is Top Gun summer and Mission Impossible fall, or is it the other way around?
I want to say yeah.
I think Top Gun's first, right?
Yeah, Top Gun has to be first.
Okay.
They got to get Top Gun out. They have to just get it out. You got to stop fucking wasting time.
Because that's exactly opposite of Jackass. That's one they're not going to put on streaming. It's going to go to theaters. And from everything I've heard from apparently they screened 15, 20 minutes of it at the CinemaCon thing, and people thought it was just amazing. So hopefully, we'll see.
All you need to do is play the and people are going to think it's amazing regardless. So
yeah.
All right, what's your 20? My
20 is a movie called Babylon. This is directed by Damien Chazelle, who did La La Land. He did Whiplash. It's set in Hollywood during the transition from silent films to talkies, focusing on a mixture of historical and fictional characters. That's the description of it. That's pretty much all anybody knows about it. Honestly, the plot in this one doesn't jump out at me, but it's Damien Chazelle, and the cast is Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Catherine Waterston, Samara Weaving, Max Mingla, Tobey Maguire, a bunch of other people. Olivia Wilde's in there. She's having a big year, apparently, Olivia Wilde. But yeah, Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie right at the top. I wasn't a fan of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I love both those people.
This will be their second movie this year that they're together, and since Spot Bullet Train.
Yeah, so with this director, I'm in.
Yeah, I saw this, and I was like, should I add this to my list or not? And then as I was reading the plot, I was like, this basically sounds like a Great Gatsby mixed with Mank, and I'm not for that. So, I mean, I'd be checking it out. Sure, I absolutely will. But it just wasn't one I'm jumping out of my seat excited for.
I will say that after seeing First Man, my anticipation for this one dropped some just because I wasn't a big fan. It wasn't a bad movie.
It was fine. It just wasn't as good as it was.
But it wasn't I loved La La Land. Whiplash was very good too. So, but I was and then First Man's kind of This is the first one he made that I was kind of about.
Yeah. My 19, I think it's coming out. I can't remember the date. It's definitely coming out this year. We saw some footage of it here a few months back. It colored me intrigued, and that is DC's Black Adam. The Rock, or Dwayne Johnson, whatever you want to call him now, he's always The Rock to me. He's been dying to play this role for what it feels like the last 5-6 years. Finally able to shoot it. When they had the was it DC Fandom? When they released the footage for it? I
think so, yes.
Just seeing the concept art and just the little 1 to 2 minute sneak peek of it. Yeah, I really want to see The Rock play a villain. I mean, we've seen him play villains before, but this one I feel like is the villain he was born to play. So I'm actually really intrigued to see what he does with Black Adam.
And this is on my list later. So.
Okay.
My number 19 is another Apple Plus movie. Now, I don't know if this one will get a theatrical release first or not. It's a Christmas movie, so it's going to be a while for this one. It is it's called Spirited. It's a modern musical retelling of A Christmas Carol, but it stars Ryan Reynolds, and Will Ferrell, and it's supposedly gonna be super hilarious. And based on that alone, it's a Christmas movie and a musical, and I'll watch it.
I didn't think this was coming out this year because I thought Ryan Reynolds was supposed to take a break after Red Notice.
After he finished filming this is when he took his break.
Oh, okay.
Because Red Notice had been done for a while.
Like, hopefully he gets Dragon's Lair done during that.
Yeah, well, maybe because that's only a voice acting role. Maybe it's not a big deal for him to do that.
But. Yeah, this definitely would have been on my list if I had remembered it. I totally forgot about it.
I love doing that to Sean.
Yeah. My number 18 is another DC movie. I really enjoyed the first one. So I'm intrigued to see what they do with the second one, and that is Aquaman and the Last Kingdom. Once again, DC fandom released some art showing some of the stuff going with it. Like I said, color me intrigued. It would be higher if I had seen some footage or anything to show me an idea of what the film's going to be outside of just concept art. But yeah, Aquaman and the Last Kingdom.
It did not make my list. I love Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I think the movies around him in both Justice League and the first Aquaman didn't live up to him. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one, but it wasn't going to be on my list. So. My number 18, another one coming out really quite soon, is Moonfall. If you like, Earth destruction porn, basically, which is what Roland Emmerich does best. Independence Day, Godzilla, Day After Tomorrow, all that kind of stuff. This is just one of those. It's totally going to be a guilty pleasure movie, and it looks ridiculous in all the right ways. It looks like it's got really good special effects for a movie that is really. I mean, it's not going to be a big giant blockbuster, but it's clearly not a little independent movie either. It's got Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson in it, John Bradley, who most people know from Game of Thrones. Michael Pena's in it. So this is just, it's a ridiculous premise, but it just looks like guilty pleasure fun to me.
Yeah, Roland Emmerich is like Adam McKay to me. After Don't Look Up, I don't trust him anymore. And after like 2012, and The Day After Tomorrow, which Day After Tomorrow has actually gotten better for me.
2012 was exactly the same way for me. And is it a good movie? No, but it's just fun watching shit blow up real good.
I don't trust Roland Emmerich. It doesn't mean I won't check this out at some point, but I'm definitely not going to rush to the theaters to see Moonfall.
Yeah.
My number 17, it'll be one of my first films of the year as well. It definitely comes out this month, unless they push it. The trailer looked awesome to me, and I was super, super excited for this. When I think of January movies, there's two movies that pop in my head. Both of them are on this list, but this is the first one. And like I just really, really liked the trailer for this, and that is The Black Phone. I think this is right up my alley for kind of just like. And what worries me is that it's getting a January release. It's worrying me because of that. I want to hope that the January release date doesn't mean what it used to mean, which the other movie that comes out this month that's on my list hopefully bodes well for that. That's not true anymore. Ethan Hawke as this crazy serial killer guy who kidnaps kids. That was well enough to sell me on it, but then you add this supernatural element to it as well. I'm sold on this movie. This trailer sold the crap out of this film for me. I know you're not as sold on it as I am, but I am really excited to see Ethan Hawke in this kind of role.
Well, there's a lot of these. This is another one of those Blumhouse movies, right?
Is it Blumhouse?
I think it is.
Even then, Blumhouse to me has about a 75% success rate. So.
Well, for me, the Blumhouse movies are the kind of thing that they do super well, and there's definitely some that I like, but there's pump out so much. There's a lot of them that I don't like as much.
It's Universal and Blumhouse.
I mean, this one is Scott Derrickson directing it. It's got, like I said, Ethan Hawke's people in it. So, I mean, it's definitely got a lot going for it, but they're the kind of movies that I take on a case-by-case basis. I'll go see it. Hopefully I like it, but a lot of them I don't, so we'll see. My number 17, I believe we're on.
Yeah, 17.
We already talked about is Top Gun Maverick. This actually, I would have thought would be higher on my list, but it just gets delayed so much. It's like I'm not thinking it's gonna be a bad movie or anything. It's just at this point I'm just kind of like my excitement can only stay peaked for so long.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. Again, Joseph Kosinski directing again, great cast assembled. other than that, you already said everything I would say. So
The only thing I'm still mad about is that, and I love the actor, but I'm sorry, Miles Teller should not have been Goose's son. It should have been went to Glenn Powell, who's also in the movie.
they gave a role to in the movie, but yeah, he definitely should.
Glenn Powell should 100% been Goose's son, not Miles Teller. I'm sure Miles Teller's going to do great, but Glenn Powell should have been given this role. My number 16 is a trailer that popped up. Let's see if it's November or December. And this is one of the weird things with me and Brian is that like I'll get either one of us gets really excited about one trailer and the other one doesn't, or vice versa. It's like, man, this trailer looks good. You're like, I was more excited about this movie before I saw this trailer. And it's like, come on. And then it's like it's vice versa. Like I don't know how many times it's happened with both you and me. This one is high up because of the trailer, and that is The Lost City. I didn't know anything about this movie. It's also, I think, called The Lost City of D, but I think they just narrowed it down to just The Lost City. The cast to me is really what sells this movie. I miss Sandra Bullock in her comedy roles. I think she's very funny. Brian's not as sold on her and her comedy roles as much as I am. But then also I love, and we both love this. We love when Channing Tatum makes fun of himself and plays kind of the dumb brute and not trying to be like, oh, I'm so cool, but like plays like kind of an idiot. And this is right up his alley. And then you add Daniel Radcliffe, Mr. Harry Potter, as the villain. And then you have the little snippet of the cameo with Brad Pitt being just like, basically being the Channing Tatum that we hate, but have Brad Pitt doing it. This is hitting every check mark on my thing with this. I'm super excited for this movie. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Lost City of Z is a 2016 movie with Charlie Hunnam.
Lost City of D.
Oh, of D. I think it's Z. I'm like, I looked it up because I'm like, that sounds familiar. Maybe that's why they changed the title because it would get confused with it.
Probably.
I was kind of looking forward to this movie. It was like near the bottom of my list until I saw the trailer, and it's like, I love Channing Tatum making fun of himself. I love Brad Pitt apparently having some fun, although I feel like A, that's probably his only scene in the movie, and B, I wish they hadn't put it in the trailer because that would have been so much fun to have Brad Pitt show in the movie. But of course, you got Brad Pitt; they want to market that, so that disappoints me a little bit. But yeah, Sandra Bullock in the 90s, I was in love with Sandra Bullock. I loved all her movies, and then she started, she did some Oscar films and stuff, which is fine. But then her comedies since then have been really hit and miss. She's gotten some bad plastic surgery going on. A lot of the jokes in this movie kind of fell a little flat for me. So, I mean, it's another one that I'm going to see, and I hope it's good. But I think that the cons for me will outweigh the pros. We'll see. To me,
this is not, I don't want to say it's a remake, but it's kind of a like Romancing the Stone.
It did have a little bit of Romancing the Stone feel to it.
Yeah. Who's your 16?
My 16 is one you probably haven't heard of. It's called Cocaine Bear.
If it's about an actual bear on cocaine, I'm 100% all in. But I'm
sure.
Is. Oh my God, is it really?
It is based on the real story of a 175-pound American black bear that died after ingesting a duffel bag full of cocaine in 1985. It was dropped out of an airplane, a former narcotics officer and drug smuggler, because his plane was carrying too heavy a load. The bear was found in northern Georgia alongside 40 open plastic containers of cocaine. Okay, so right there, that's a weird premise. Lord and Miller are producing this thing, which means it's going to have some great humor to it. It's directed by Elizabeth Banks, who I like her brand of comedy. That's good. And you got a cast that includes Kerry Russell, Ray Liotta, O'Shea Jackson Jr., Alden Ehrenreich, and a bunch of other people I haven't heard of. But I mean, it's the comedy gold that this movie has got to be. It's just gonna be so much fun, especially when you got Lord and Miller attached to it. Okay. I'm so intrigued.
You had me there for a second because you said it is about a bear, and my brain immediately went to like Paddington and Ted, but on cocaine. And then it's about a real fucking bear, and I'm like, oh. And then you told me the cast. It doesn't sound like a comedy cast to me.
But Lord and Miller made a serious movie, and Elizabeth Banks has not directed a serious movie.
But read that cast list again. They're not comedy people.
This feels like it'll be somewhere to me in the without a paddle kind of tone to it.
I don't know.
It's going to be in the wild, and there's a bear out there on cocaine. Who knows, stalking them? I don't know the details of it.
I hope it's without a paddle.
Or they're hunting for the bear. I don't know.
But you read that cast, and it sounds like almost like Adam McKay's Don't Look Up, where it's like it's all these kind of drama, not really comedic tone,
It's not a
actor.
joke, though. Ray Liotta has spent the last several
I'm not talking
years
about
of
Ray
his
Liotta.
career
I'm talking about the
doing
rap.
like basically parodies of himself. Alden Ehrenreich, I really like this kid. I thought he made a very good Han Solo.
I don't think he's a comedy actor though.
Oh man, you should see if you have not seen Hail Caesar. He's great in that. And I think he's got some good comedy chops to him. O'Shea Jackson Jr. He's just a supporting character. He'll be fine. But yeah, Lord and Miller, Elizabeth Banks, and that's the premise of it alone had it in my top.
Color me intrigued, but I'm holding hesitation on. My number 15 you've already mentioned, and that is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Once again, the trailer hurt him. The trailer sold it on me. Pedro Pascal, who everyone liked, but since Mandalorian, he has now gone through the roof in terms of his popularity. That with Game of Thrones, and now The Last of Us, which I hope that comes out this year for TV. The zaniness of this film is great. This is once again, like we just mentioned this with Channing Tatum. He's great when he's allowed to make fun of himself, and this is Nick Cage effectively making fun of himself and just in on the joke of the Nick Cage part. And literally, what sold me on this movie was the one moment of the trailer when he sees his statue and he's like, "That's grotesque. I'll give you 20,000 for it." Like just like that little humor right there, and then just the rest of the film colors me intrigued. Yes, the Tiffany Haddish aspect of it does kind of temper it a little bit, but she wasn't in the trailer, so I have no idea how big of a part she is in it. But I enjoyed just a little banter between him and Neil Patrick Harris, and like I said, the Pedro Pascal of it all is definitely something that makes me excited to check it out. I think it's gonna be pretty funny, and we haven't seen a Nick Cage funny movie in a while. I mean, I'm not counting like the Spider-Verse and like Kick-Ass.
Right.
I'm talking about like
Cage movie.
Nick Cage comedy movie. I can't remember the last one. Can you?
Honestly, no, I can't even remember Nick Cage movie at this point. All I remember is the straight-to-video junk.
Yeah, not the straight-to-video streaming, whatever. I'm talking like an actual Nick Cage comedy.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been quite a while. So I'm actually real excited to check this out.
All right, my 15, a little bit higher for me than it was for you, is Don't Worry, Darling. Again, Olivia Wilde hit it out of the park with her first movie, Booksmart, and then you got Florence Pugh in the lead. And those two things alone had it in my top 20. I do like a lot of the other people. Chris Pine is in as well. Gemma Chan, Nick Kroll. And again, I don't even know. I hadn't even looked at the plot line of it. Honestly, I don't even care. It's just based on the director and Florence Pugh alone. I was sold. So had a little bit higher for me.
Awesome. My 14, they dropped the trailer in this past month. I mentioned it earlier as an example for a other film. This is the sequel to it, and the trailer sold me on it even more, and that is Sonic 2. Sonic is one of those movies where they released the trailer, and Sony and the studios behind it listened to the fans and said, "You fucked up Sonic, fix him. He looks like shit. We want the Sonic the way he looks." And they said, "Okay, fine. We'll shell out the extra millions of dollars to do it, and we will make Sonic the way you guys intended." And to me, that makes me full on back anything that they're going to do with Sonic from now on. Now, the movie, yes, it was a buddy road trip movie, but Sonic 2 looks like a Sonic film. And then you add Tails and Knuckles, voiced by Idris Elba. You got Jim Carrey back, which I know you weren't as big a fan of Jim Carrey in this role as I was, but this was me seeing Jim Carrey back to being old Jim Carrey. Plus, now he looks more like, Eggman as well. The trailer looked fun. I'm super excited to see Sonic 2. I really am. Yeah,
ambivalent. I'll see it. I like James Marsden. I like Ben Schwartz. Just the voice.
I don't think Marsden's going to be in it that much. I think Marsden will probably have like 10 minutes of screen time.
Jim Carrey, I think that making him look more like the character in video game is like a step backwards. And he's going to be new as Jim Carreyisms, which are a little dated. I mean, the first one had its moments. I liked Sonic in it. And the animation definitely, especially once they fixed the Sonic, was decent. So I'll see it, but not anticipated. Next for me on my number 14.
Yeah.
It's called Violent Night. You heard of this one?
No.
All right. So apparently a Christmas time movie. It's supposed to be like a dark holiday thriller, possibly dark comedy to it as well. It stars David Harbour in the lead role, which I don't know anything more about the premise. All they say is it's a dark holiday thriller. It stars David Harbour and it's directed by Tommy Wirkola, who he's done movies I like. The Dead Snow movies, if you've ever seen those, basically Nazi zombies. Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, which I thought was a ton of fun. I know it's Sean's face. Clearly, he did not find it fun. And What Happened to Monday, which was a Netflix movie. It starred what's her name, Numi Rapace, which I thought was very good. So I like Christmas movies, but not like the mainstream happy, Christmas movies. I tend to like the stuff that's a little weird take on it, whether it be comedy or horror or whatever. And this is another one. I mean, David Harbour in an action role, a dark comedy, presumably about Christmas, called Violent Night. I'm in.
I love David Harbour. I do. I've never seen any of the Dead Snows, so I really can't talk on that. But yeah, I was not a fan of Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. I thought the movie was kind of blah, kind of like Brothers Grimm's. The Brothers.
Oh, don't compare those two. Come on.
They felt the same to me. They really did. So I need to see a trailer first before I can get excited about that one. Speaking of, I need to see a trailer for a movie. Number 13 is a movie that we've been waiting for 7 years, I feel. It's a movie that's, I don't know if it's coming out. It might come out in 6 years, or it might come out this December finally. Avatar 2.
Oh.
James Cameron seems pretty on point that this one will come out in December of this year. I liked the first Avatar film. I wasn't as jaded about it as everyone else was. Like, it's Pocahontas or Fern Gully or Dances with Wolves and all that shit. I liked it for what it was. The reason that alone is not why I'm excited for it. We on the Weekly Series, we talked about Titanic, and we talked about how phenomenal of a director James Cameron is and how he can turn things that don't seem like they're going to work into something that works. And we said this in this. He chose to basically effectively stop making any other films and focus only on Avatar. I got to see what he does. I have to see this. I have to see why James Cameron decided to basically stop making these any other films outside of those weird documentary ones that he does when he just decides he wants to go on vacation, to see what he does with Avatar. I feel like this is not going to follow the whole Dance with the Wolves trope anymore. That now you're like, okay, now we've got that story out of the way. Now let's dive into the world of Pandora and these characters. And I gotta trust James Cameron, but I gotta see the movie. So I'm genuinely excited to see what he does if it comes out this year.
True. I'll be talking about this one later.
All right, Brian, what's your number 13?
My number 13 is a movie called The Fabelmans. This is a movie directed by Steven Spielberg about essentially Steven Spielberg. It's a drama loosely based on his own childhood. It's got I think kind of an unknown kid in the main lead role, but then it's got Paul Dano is in it, Michelle Williams is in it, Seth Rogen is in it. But Steven Spielberg alone as the director puts any movie in my top 20 anticipated, but especially for him to be doing something that's very personal apparently to him about essentially his own childhood. I'm very curious. I know nothing else about this. Obviously, there's no trailers. I haven't seen images. I don't know. I mean, even the placeholder poster on Letterboxd is just like a painting of an ocean. So I don't know what that has to do with anything. But Steven Spielberg alone made the shoot to my top 20.
Him directing a film about himself almost actually kind of makes me hesitant.
You do kind of wonder. You're like, well, it could be. I mean, not that I think he doesn't have a controversy in his past to whitewash or anything like that.
No,
but at the same time, you're like, can he really tell? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, can he be impartial, and like tell like or is he just going to over dramatize certain situations that weren't really that big, or is he going to tell one side of the story and not the other side?
I kind of wonder if his character, because I don't know. I doubt they're going to name it Steven Spielberg. It's obviously the Fabelmans is the name of the family, so it's not him. It's based on his youth. I wonder if his real name is actually kind of a minimal character, maybe just watching the events of like his parents through his eyes or something like that. So I don't know.
Okay. My number 12 you already brought up, and that is Ambulance. Like I said, everything that you said with Michael Bay, it rings true. Yes, he does have the sense of humor of a 12-year-old who just hit puberty, but dude knows how to shoot his action. Dude knows how to get certain actors to have awesome roles. And And the trailer sold me immensely on this. Watching Jake Gyllenhaal in this trailer, basically, not that it's the same role, but it gave me Nightcrawler flashbacks of him kind of playing this villainy kind of role into it. But he's also not a full-on villain. I mean, he's not like a good guy by any means. But he's trying to do it for a certain reason. And like by the end of the trailer, he's going full-fledged. And then you got Yahya, who needs to do something good after the abysmal Matrix film. But just the way everything's shot here, this movie looks freaking awesome. I'm so excited for this film. I want to say it comes out in February or March.
It's soon. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it's got the release date on here, but yeah, this movie looks bad.
April 8th is currently. I think it was earlier, and it got pushed to April. I want to say it was like February.
Which
it looks like it just moved as of December 14th. It moved from February 18th to April 8th.
Which to me almost makes it sound that's good in my opinion, because I feel like they're
not just dumping it. Yeah,
they're pushing it closer to summer to try to get the summer money. So that to me hopefully bodes well for it, because I'm excited to see Michael Bay do something other than Transformers, even though yes, I know he did 6 Underground and that movie was not good, even though it had Ryan Reynolds in it. This trailer sold me immensely on it. I'm super excited to see Ambulance. But yeah, what is your number 12?
My number 12. My number 12.
Gotta be worried about this.
Oh no! You know what? I was looking at my 11, so you can look forward to that. My number 12 is called The Gray Man. The Gray Man.
These fucking.
Gray Man is another Netflix film. This one is directed by the Russo brothers, Anthony and Joe Russo.
Okay.
It casts as Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, Jessica Henwick, Billy Bob Thornton, a bunch of other people. Those top three: Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, and Ana de Armas, who criminally underused in James Bond
to that list as well.
Yeah, and Jessica Henwick was the one bright light in Matrix, I thought. But I don't know a whole lot about this movie. I mean, I'm sitting here reading the synopsis, but I didn't know any of this, and I don't really care. It's just the Russo brothers and a strong cast, and I'm sold. I will read it anyway. It's a short paragraph. Gentry, which is Ryan Gosling, is on a mission across Europe to rescue his handler and his family from Lloyd, a former cohort of Gentry's at the CIA. Lloyd wants Gentry terminated in order to shepherd $1 billion oil deal in Nigeria, where the president of that country wants Gentry dead for the assassination of his brother. It sounds like a cross like an action film and a political thriller kind of thing, but really it's Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, and Russo brothers is what sold me on.
That cast would have sold me on it too if I had known this movie existed.
Yeah, I really want Ana de Armas to break out big time, because not only is she beautiful, I think she's very talented. I think a lot of people agree with me. She was the best part of No Time to Die, yet she was completely wasted in No Time to Die. Yeah,
and then of course Knives Out, she was fantastic.
So I want her to get more and bigger roles.
My number 11. If it's not higher up on your list, then I'm worried that it had major lists. And that is probably the first film of 2022, and that's Scream. Scream, I mean, it's fucking Scream. I mean, come on. All the original cast that's still alive are coming back. I'm super intrigued to see what they do with this. I've actually actively tried to avoid watching trailers for this as to not give anything away.
I saw the trailer, the first trailer they were, and honestly, as much excited as I am about this, the first trailer was not great to me. I was kind of like, eh. But since then, I've seen them release, like, I don't know if it's additional trailers, like tons of clips for it and stuff. It's like, I don't want to see the whole movie. I haven't watched any of it since that first trailer, because I don't want to know
anything. The only thing I saw, I saw the first initial trailer, and the one thing I immediately liked right away was where the girl kept trying to lock the door with her cell phone, and it kept unlocking again. Like that right there is like, okay, cool. They're updating with the technology.
Yeah, you've taken the concept and updated it. Yeah.
And then there's one part where Nev is, like I can't remember what she says, but then the Ghostface is like, not in this movie, kind of thing. I was like, oh yes. And then even then, I think the killer is like, it's a pleasure to finally meet the legend or whatever. So it's like, this is a person who's actively been following Nev. This is a person, or Sydney. This is a person who knows everything about it, which as should. Now, I hope. And we talked about something in Crusaders. Please don't let this be about her fucking mother. Please don't let this be about Sidney Prescott's mom. I'm so tired of that tired ass story. Now, granted, 4 wasn't, and I liked 4. I think not people talk about 4, But yeah, I'm super excited to see where Scream falls. Was this higher up on your list?
I'll go ahead and talk about it now because it's one spot higher. I had it at number 10.
Okay.
But I'm looking forward to this one as well. Like I said, it's a week away. I already have my ticket, so maybe this will be the Quiet Place 2 of this year, and we'll get 2 days away, and they'll close the theaters. Who knows?
Don't you put that voodoo on me, Ricky Bobby?
But the fact that Scream has me sold, the fact that you have the directors of Ready or Not, which I actually very much enjoyed, are the guys who are directing it. You got a great, in addition to the old cast, you got a great new cast. Includes I forgot her name. I'm gonna look it up. The one from In the Heights.
Which one?
Melissa Barrera.
Yeah.
Melissa Barrera's in it. Jack Quaid, who I like from The Boys, among other things.
Yeah, Jack Quaid.
So it's got a nice combination of young cast and returning cast, and so I really have high hopes for this one, and I think it's going to be good. It's the first one without Wes Craven, but the guys who took it over apparently had a real love for it. So let's hope that it turns out as good as we hope it is.
What was your 11? Since you just
I was gonna wait, then why wait one spot? I'll just talk about it. My number 11 is the Toxic Avenger.
We're not coming out with a Toxic Avenger movie. Shut up.
Oh, they are. The Toxic Avenger, if you remember, was like in the 80s. It was made by Troma.
I remember the cartoon.
Yeah. Oh, they had like there was 3 Toxic Avenger movies and then a cartoon. This is back in the 80s when they'd make a cartoon out of R-rated properties like Toxic Avenger and RoboCop and Rambo, and they'd sell toys and action figures and all these things. This is directed by Macon Blair, who he did I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. He's mostly known as an actor in a lot of movies like Green Room and things like that. It stars Peter Dinklage, though, as Toxie. Come on.
Fuck you.
Peter Dinklage as Toxie. Jacob Tremblay is in this. Kevin Bacon is in this. Elijah Wood is in this because Elijah Wood's company is the one producing it.
I'm literally reading this as you're telling. Seriously?
Tell me this is not intriguing. This is going to be. It looks like something that's just a passion project of because Elijah Wood is big on horror. He has a whole production company, basically makes horror movies, and when he makes stuff, he makes it not because he's looking to make money, because he thinks it's going to be fun horror. And then you add in that casting of Peter Dinklage as Toxie is just inspired casting. I cannot wait to see this movie.
Here's the thing that sells me on it even further. The director is the guy who did Green Room.
Well, the director was one of the stars of Green Room. He
did the directing.
He's basically like best friends. I wouldn't doubt if he co-directed half that stuff because they do a lot of all their projects they do together. And so I think that's who learned his directing chops from. It's Jeremy Saulnier, I think is his name. But yeah,
okay.
This is, I think, the highest rated one that I figured that you would be like, what the fuck?
I was about to go F you, but then you read that cast. I'm like, okay, I'm in this now. Fine.
Yeah, if you said they're making another Toxic Avenger movie, you're like, oh, some straight to video crap or trying to reboot it. But then you put these people in it. It's number 11 on my anticipated of the entire year. I swear to God.
Oh, okay. Yeah. When did they have an idea of when this is coming out yet? Have they even started shooting this yet?
It's already shot. Let me see. I don't know if there's an exact date yet. I'll check right now. Why don't you go on your number 10 because I already did Scream and I'll look this up.
Yeah. My number 10. I don't see this coming out this year, but they're pretty firm on their dates, and that is MCU's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I mean, Black Panther, I don't think it's as great as everyone makes it out to be. I think it's still a very, very good MCU movie. I don't think it was a Best Picture award or nominee by any means, but I'm intrigued to see what they do since Chadwick Boseman is no longer with us. Knowing that it's going to be more around the Wakanda people, which I'm all about M'Baku. I would love a movie, around M'Baku, or even I'm blanking on not the sister, Lupita Nyong'o's character. I'm intrigued with that, or even more with Okoye. I really liked all those characters. So, like I said, we don't know anything about the movie. They're keeping it pretty tight-lipped. But because of Black Panther and what it did, I'm intrigued to see what they do with it. Plus Coogler's back, so
yeah. Nakia is, by the way, is Lupita Nyong'o's character's name. Yeah, this is not on my top anticipated list, which for me, for an MCU movie, is huge.
Yeah.
Part of it is we don't know anything about where they're going to take the story, except they're not going to have Black Panther in it, or at least not T'Challa as Black Panther. So we don't know where the story is going. We don't know anything about it. But I mean, the first one, I agree with Sean. I really enjoyed the first one. I think it's hugely overrated. And I understand its importance and things like that. But the movie itself, I enjoyed very much. I thought it's in the top 20 probably of my MCU movies, maybe top 10 even, I don't know, possibly. But I'm not that attached to the character. It's one of my most anticipated things, and the fact that we've heard nothing about it makes me kind of like as soon as I see a trailer, it could shoot to my number 5 for all I know. But as of right now, I'm just kind of like, we'll see.
I would be more excited for it if Andy Serkis and Michael B. Jordan were still alive.
Oh, I know the two best things about that movie. Yeah, they killed off.
And I even said that in the review when it first came out. The worst things they did in this movie was to kill off Claw and to kill off Killmonger, because those were two of the better villains the MCU had ever given us. And what'd you do? You killed them off. Now, if they were still alive in the world, now granted they could pull a Loki, but I think they had pretty definitive deaths in this.
Yeah, especially especially Andy Serkis for me. He was such a great villain, and they just wasted him away.
If they were both still alive, this would be top 5. But because I know they're gone, it's right at the number 10 spot. I'll go ahead and go to my 9 since you already gave your 10. Mm-hmm. My 9, once again, I think you and I have had this discussion. I don't think it's coming out this year. You are definitive that it's coming out this year. We already mentioned it a little bit earlier, and that is Mission Impossible 7. The Mission Impossibles to me just keep getting better and better. Tom Cruise and is it Christopher McQuarrie. They just have found a niche with these. They found this lane that just works, unlike the Fast and Furious movies where they just keep trying to go bigger and bigger and bigger and crazier and crazier. Mission Impossible's doing that, but they're doing it the right way that doesn't come off overly cartoonish, and it feels more realistic and just a lot more fun. Now, in terms of the cast, we have a lot of the same people coming back, and I think everyone's coming back this real, but there's some new additions that have gotten me excited for. One is Haley Atwell. We love Haley Atwell. Number 2 is Pom Klementieff. Maybe people know her as Mantis from Guardians. And Carl Elwes. Elwes, however you say his fucking last name.
Carrie Elwes.
Yeah. Carrie Elwes. Rob Delaney also is in this as well, which that doesn't bode well because he was in 2 of my worst films of last year. But it's Mission Impossible. I mean, I have to have it up there for excitement because Tom Cruise cares so much about this franchise, like Vin Diesel is Fast and Furious. But Tom Cruise also knows the movies he's in, unlike Vin Diesel. And so
read the room. Come on.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to be excited about a Mission Impossible movie and what crazy stunts Tom Cruise is going to do next. Because last time he freaking broke his ankle and still walked it off, and they left that in the film, which is such a boss move that they did that. But yeah, that's why it's on my list.
Yeah, I don't want you to yell at me again, so I'll wait till talk about that. It's coming up soon, though.
I can't yell at you.
I threw off your rhythm here. My number 9 is another sequel because there's gonna be a lot of those in here. Clerks 3.
I put Clerks 3 on here because I didn't know if it was ready yet.
Yeah, it filmed.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't know for sure it'll come out this year because especially Kevin Smith, you never know what he's gonna decide to do. At the point.
I didn't put it on my list.
Everything I read says it is coming out this year, so we'll see. Again, I don't really know much of anything about it except that apparently it's Randall. He's basically used Randall as to symbolize himself, Kevin Smith, because he survives a heart attack and then he I guess reevaluates his life or whatever it is he does. I don't know anything more about it. All I know is the first Clerks I thought was good, as funny, but a little overrated at the time. Clerks 2 I loved.
Clerks 2. I love Clerks 2.
I love Clerks 2. The best thing about Trevor Furman, who as far as I know has never done another movie since Clerks 2, he was Elias.
He really hasn't. He really has. I watched Clerks 2 earlier this year, and I was like, "What's this kid done?" And I think he did like 1 movie, maybe 2 movies afterwards, and then he hasn't done anything since. But
I think he wasn't even aspiring to be an actor or anything. But he's back for this. You got Rosario Dawson's back in it. and obviously you got Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes and all them. So I don't know anything more about the movie, but based on that, and I actually really liked Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, which is the last thing that he did in this universe. And
I fully
so
expected to hate that, and I ended up loving it.
now, if that movie had sucked, my expectations for this would have dropped dramatically. But I really enjoyed that, so I have high hopes for this.
All I'm gonna say about this: if Pillow Pants and Listerine are not in this movie, I'm gonna be greatly disappointed. And so that and the Star Wars Lord of the Rings debate is the best two parts of Clerks 2. Yeah, Clerks 3 would be on my list if I had thought it was coming out this year. I'm excited for that if it does come out. My number 8 you mentioned earlier, and that's The Flash. 2 words: Michael Keaton. End of sentence. That's it. Ezra Miller's Flash, I think, is fine. I don't love it. But I also don't hate it. I think here's the thing. In the first Justice League movie, I actually liked him better than in the Zack Snyder Justice League. If that makes any sense at all. I feel like they took a lot of his jokes out of the Zack Snyder cut. But I think he does a fine job. I just don't think that they've really been able to give him enough to really care about him, which I get. That's what this movie's going to do. I think that he should have had a actual movie before they started going into the Flashpoint stuff, so we can establish his character before they do Flashpoint. But you have Michael Keaton, you have the old Batmobile. I gotta see this.
Ben Affleck as well.
Yeah, I'm sold.
Some reports suggest Henry Cavill.
Yeah, supposedly what I heard is this is supposed to completely wipe out Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck's Batman for the films. Start fresh, which yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about one of those characters here in a little bit. But yeah, like I said, Michael Keaton coming back, I'm all for this.
Yeah, I think I already talked mostly about this, but I think that, like you said, Ezra Miller, his Flash, one thing I enjoyed, he was one of the bright spots of the theatrical version of Justice League for me, because he, added levity to this movie that was just trying to be so serious and dark for the most part. But clearly that is one of the things that Joss Whedon did when he took over, was he's like, let's throw more, he's known for his dialogue and his comedy and things like that. So he threw some of that in there, but then we went to Zack Snyder's, they took all that back out. And so he had a little bit of a blander character, but we'll see. Number 8 for me is, you just talked about it recently, is Mission Impossible 7. This has been all over my list. This has been from top 5 to number 22. It's been all over my list because, again, it's one of those movies that is never coming out, which it's been filmed at this point. It's just a matter of if they keep pushing it back for COVID reasons. And actually, the last time
again.
What's that?
Didn't they just push it back again?
Well, what happened is this was summer and Top Gun was this past fall or Christmas. But when they moved Top Gun, they moved Mission Impossible with it because they don't have like 2 Tom Cruise movies competing, basically. So this right now is still coming out in November, December of 2022. If it gets pushed again, it'll be because Top Gun gets pushed again and they'll want to push this as a result of it. I hope that doesn't happen. Like I say, Christopher McQuarrie. Now, Mission Impossible was one of those franchises like Aliens that like had a different director for every installment, and it was kind of cool to see like a different director's flavor and take on the franchise. But once they hit Christopher McQuarrie, he's now done 5 and 6. This is 7. He's already doing 8, or already signed on to do 8. So obviously Tom Cruise found like somebody who they mesh well, and obviously he's made some great movies together. And then you bring back the cast, Rebecca Ferguson, all those. You add in people like Pom Klementieff, who I really like, Carrie Elways, Indira Varma, who was on Game of Thrones, and she was also on a great TV show called Human Target, which no one in the world has seen except for me and Sean. There's a lot of those shows, by the way, that only me and Sean have seen, which is why they got canceled. But again, I know nothing about the cast or about the plot of this movie. We haven't seen a trailer. We haven't seen anything but some behind the scenes photos and things, which tell us nothing. But just based on the track record of the franchise alone,
I have a feeling we're probably not going to see anything until probably about summer. Like the first
trailer on Top Gun. That's my guess.
No, I feel like that's too late. I feel like April, May is probably when we'll see the first Mission Impossible trailer, personally, unless they decide just to drop it. My number 7. I don't know if I'm necessarily excited to see this, more or less than I have to see this. I have been actively against this movie ever since they announced it. I've hated their casting choices. I've granted they've fixed it slightly since then. They finally released the first trailer, and it wasn't bad. It's still not the movie I wanted to see, but like with Ghostbusters Afterlife, the movie that we want to see is not necessarily the movie we're going to get, and that doesn't necessarily mean the movie's going to be bad. It just is not the movie that we wanted to see, and that is Uncharted. I love the Uncharted video game series. It is hands down probably one of, if not my favorite video game series ever. I love the character of Nathan Drake. Should it have gone to Nathan Fillion? Absolutely, but they should have shot that like
Would have been 10 years ago or more.
Yeah. Which granted, he did shoot a short film as Nathan, and
I love that, by the way. And it had Stephen
Lang was
yeah.
Sully, which that should have gone to Bruce Campbell, because Bruce Campbell, if anyone has watched the show Burn Notice, basically he just has to play his character from Burn Notice with a mustache. That's the perfect casting. We didn't get that. We got Mark Wahlberg as Sully, which frankly I don't see in a million years as Mark Wahlberg as Sully. Tom Holland as young Drake. I can see young Drake, but the problem is that they're not going to recast Tom Holland for older Drake. So we're just going to basically be starting this franchise off from when he was, young Drake, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I think a lot of people want to see.
It's just not the game.
Yeah, I think a lot. Well, I mean, they did flashbacks of young Drake in Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 4, but I think everyone wants to see adult Nathan Drake, and I think we're all worried, as much as I am, is that this first movie's not going to do well, and we're never going to get to see adult Nathan Drake because they're not going to continue with the franchise. The first movie, the first trailer, it looks promising. To me, it's Mark Wahlberg. He's hit or miss with me, and I have a visual of what Sully is because I've watched 4 video games with Sully in it. Mark Wahlberg is not Sully. He is not Sully at all. I feel like he's just going to be doing Mark Wahlberg in this movie and not Sully, which that worries me. I think Tom Holland has the ability to be a Nathan Drake, but he's got to get the kind of nerdy Peter Parkerisms out of his system, which is going to be hard because he's still going to be playing Spider-Man for probably the next 10 years. But I have to see it. I'm going to be going in with the lowest of expectations, because last time I got excited for a video game movie was Tomb Raider, and that was disappointing as hell because I thought that movie was going to kick ass, and it was boring. But yeah, I had to see it. I'm worried as hell for it, but I have to see it.
Yeah, Uncharted is not on my anticipated list.
I wouldn't expect it to be. You don't play the games.
I'm very much hoping to be surprised by this and really enjoy it. The trailers weren't bad. They didn't blow me away, but it wasn't bad. But what I do know of the game is I'm not attached to, like you said, Sully and things like that, because I just because I haven't played the games and I'm not that familiar with everybody. When they first were going to make the games, I looked into it, and I think Nathan Fillion could have been perfect for it at that time, but for one movie. But obviously, they wanted to do a franchise ongoing. He was going to be definitely too old to keep this thing going. And then the longer they delayed it more and more, it clearly wasn't going to happen. So then it was Mark Wahlberg, who I really didn't want to see Mark Wahlberg star in it. Tom Holland,
Mark Wahlberg as Nathan Drake would have killed it in the water.
Yeah, Tom Holland, it's like, I have no problem with him in another franchise. I actually think that he'll intentionally try not to have those Peter Parker mannerisms because he wants to define himself as something besides Spider-Man. So I think that might actually drive him to be a little more different. I have no problem with him in an action franchise. I'm just not sure that this is going to be the one. Like I said, I hope I like it, but we'll see.
My problem is that I think it's not far enough removed from Spider-Man No Way Home for people to, because Tom Holland yes, he's done other movies. We've seen him do other movies, but he's so Spider-Man right now that the only things we have really seen him in outside of Chaos Walking has been animated films. So for the last 5 years, when people see Tom Holland, their brain immediately goes to Spider-Man. So seeing him as another trademark character is going to be hard for people to disassociate Peter Parker from Nathan Drake. And that's the problem. He's not far enough removed from No Way Home for this to hit as well as it could. But we'll see what happens.
Hey, Harrison Ford alternated Han Solo and Indiana Jones. I'm not saying this guy's Harrison Ford.
That's so not the same thing. You didn't. No, so not the same thing.
Yeah, and another big question mark for me on this one is the director, Ruben Fleischer, because he had the Zombieland movies, which I enjoy those. The second one not as much as the first one, but I enjoy them. But then when he's done like the first Venom, which we have our thoughts about that. He did 30 Minutes or Less, which is really not very funny comedy. He did Gangster Squad. He tried to do more of a drama. That wasn't very good. So it's like a big question mark on how we can handle it.
Honestly, I think Gangster Squad kind of got fucked up because of real life events, but
that too.
Yeah.
So that one was not on my list, but I am looking forward to it. Number 7 on my list. You talked about already, and this is another one it might be too high. It's Black Adam.
I'm actually shocked you have it that high.
Yeah, well, that's just it. It's another one that's been all over my list. Just at the time we're filming, this is where it happened to be. And honestly, I don't even know why it's this high for me. I mean, I like The Rock, but he makes some mediocre movies. He has a lot of great ones I really love, and I definitely usually like him in the movie, but his movies are not necessarily always that great.
It's not his fault. It's the director and the script.
Yeah, but this one, I mean, I think that my anticipation for it really, really shot through the roof when I started seeing like the concept art for it and hearing more stuff about it and seeing a little bit of that behind the scenes glance of it. I thought that I'm like, wow, this could be really something good. It could be something really different. I don't know anything about the character or the property, so that means nothing to me. You have Pierce Brosnan in there in a major role as Dr. Fate, who that is good for me because I was of the opinion that Pierce Brosnan should have been Doctor Strange.
He actually would have been a really good Doctor.
He would have been a perfect Doctor Strange.
Against Benedict.
I got nothing against Benedict, but I think Pierce Brosnan would have been a perfect Doctor Strange. Clearly, they wanted to go a little bit younger route on it because he's older now. They probably too old for the role. But if you see
a Nathan Fillion, Nathan Drake thing with
Pierce Brosnan. if you like just Google like Pierce Brosnan, Doctor Strange, I think I found like some people's concept art that they made up for themselves for it, and it was like that's him. It's him.
Willem Dafoe and Joker.
Yeah. So that's a really big selling point for me, having him in there. Beyond that, again, we don't know a whole lot about it, but The Rock hits more often than he misses, and so I'll give anything he gives a chance.
My number 6, I want to say they're shooting it right now. It'll probably be holiday, like it normally comes out during the holiday. Name alone, actor alone, the director alone is the reason why it's my number 6, and that's Creed 3. Creed 1 and Creed 2 have been great. A lot of people didn't like Creed 2. I loved Creed 2. They did the one thing I thought that you could never do, and that was actually have sympathy for the Dragos. And I thought Creed 2 did a great job. This is supposedly supposed to be the first one without Stallone, because he supposedly said goodbye to the Rocky character after Creed 2. Plus, this one is going to be directed by Michael B. Jordan, which is this his directorial debut?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a lot of let's see how this is. I mean, obviously Tessa Thompson will be back, but Jonathan Majors is going to be in this one, and that is another big intriguing thing right there. So you bring back Adonis, you bring back basically Tessa Thompson, and I think his mother, Phyllis Reed.
Felicia Rashad,
sorry. Phyllis Reed, that is nowhere close. But I'm intrigued to see where this is going to go. I love the first 2 Creeds, so obviously this is going to be high on my list. Like I said, who knows when we're going to get trailers for this, but yeah, Creed 3 is definitely on my list.
Yeah, this one is not on my top anticipated list. I'm not sure if it's coming out this year. Everything I look at says it is, but I'm not even sure it's filmed yet. So we'll see what happens. The Creed 1 and 2, I think, are better than most of the Rocky movies, honestly.
I agree.
Although I'm not a huge fan of Michael B. Jordan, actually. I don't love him, except Black Panther. I loved him in Black Panther. Beyond that, he's kind of like, I think any other actor you could have put in his roles, I think would have been just as good, honestly. He's not a bad actor, just not anything outstanding for me. We don't know his directing style, anything like that. But like you said, with 1 and 2, they made solid movies. They were able to take the franchise in different directions without just being like, hey, now it's Rocky, but with a black kid. They very easily could have done that, but they didn't. They went a different direction with it.
We just started like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, did they? It could come out. This isn't a big special effects movie, so it could still make it the end of this year. Which what didn't the last one come out like December?
It came out in November.
Okay.
It came out the same day as Robin Hood.
It's Robin Hood. I do remember that, actually. Your favorite movie of the year.
Oh yeah.
So I'm looking forward to this one. Tessa Thompson, honestly, is one of the things I don't like about the movie, especially because she's supposed to be this great singer, and I think her songs are horrible.
But she's
But
also playing deaf, so it's not like she can hear her
but
voice.
Jonathan Majors is a big plus. I mean, this is a guy who I had never heard of before this past year, and now I'm like curious to see almost anything he does. So
Jonathan Majors and Yahya Abdul-Mateen have just been two actors who have just come out of nowhere to be like, we must watch them and everything that they're in, kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah. What is your 6?
My 6 is Avatar 2. This is another one that's been everywhere from top 5 to 20s.
Come out 3.
I think it's coming out. Well, here's the thing: is this time I think if it doesn't come out, it's going to be because of a pandemic thing. This because Disney seems pretty set on because they wanted to like alternate like their big blockbusters. They want to compete with themselves. So I remember originally they had it like alternating like Star Wars movie, Avatar movie, Star Wars movie, Avatar movie.
Yeah.
Of course, Star Wars is on a bit of a break right now as far as theatrical films for a few years. But I think that they're going to definitely not want to delay this one. It's going to come out. So I think it is, like you said, it's done filming. It's been done filming for years at this point.
It was supposed to originally be released in 2014.
They've had plenty of time. Well, I don't think that was the original date announced.
Yeah, it says following the sequel, the Avatar 2, it was aiming for a 2014 release.
Yeah.
And
Avatar I have a love-hate relationship with because I actually enjoy the first movie very much. I think it gets shit on unfairly. Yes, it's the same story archetype of, Last Samurai, Dance with Wolves, all those kind of movies. But that's fine. You can take a story and put it in a different setting. In this case, put it in a sci-fi setting and tell the same basic story from a different point of view. And I have no problem with that. And like Sean said, now we in this world, we can tell more stories in it. Number one reason to anticipate it, you never bet against James Cameron. People thought Titanic would be crap. Obviously, you saw that did. People thought Avatar was going to be crap. Look how that did. So I'm never going to bet against James Cameron. I'm sure it'll be beautiful and cool from a technical standpoint. It's got a great cast as well as, all the new ones they've added with, Kate Winslet's in there and a whole bunch of other people are now in this. So assuming it comes out this year, I think that I will really enjoy it. Will it be my number 6 movie of the year? I would guess no. But as far as anticipation at this point, yes.
Yeah, it's I think this one's supposed to be more underwater based. And
yeah, I think actually that subtitle is rumored to be The Way of the Water or something like that. So it's a lot more underwater stuff.
Yeah, we'll see what Cameron does with that if it comes out this year. I think they said they finally finished all the filming and everything for it September of 2020. So yeah,
the filming was finished. It was just a matter of a couple of years of post-production work. So
exactly, which is obviously the bulk of Avatar, really. My number 5. This is based off strictly just cast alone and where this could potentially go. And that is Thor: Love and Thunder. Everyone has a huge boner for Thor Ragnarok, saying it's one of the best Marvel movies ever. I think it's a fine Marvel movie, but I clearly have my issues with Thor Ragnarok. But now that stuff's kind of out of the way, Thor: Love and Thunder, I am super excited for. You're bringing Taika back, which could be a plus or a minus. Now, I love Taika Waititi now. At the time when Thor Ragnarok came out, I was not a Taika Waititi fan. Now, granted, after that, I saw, What We Do in the Shadows and Jojo Rabbit and stuff like that. So now I'm actually excited to see what Taika does with this. But the biggest thing of why I'm excited for this is they're bringing back the always amazing Natalie Portman. And she's supposed to be like a Thor now. So
just today, supposedly some concept art or marketing art of her in her armor or her outfit leaked, and it looks sweet as hell.
Yeah. Plus, all the Guardians of the Galaxy are supposed to be in the film as well. So it's basically like Guardians of the Galaxy 2.5, which I'm also all for. Plus the addition of Christian Bale as Gore, the God Butcher. That name right there, I'm sold on. Also, Lady Sif supposed to be back, who we haven't seen since Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 1, I think. Jeff Goldblum's supposed to be back. Melissa McCarthy, Russell Crowe, Matt Damon, Sam Neill are all in the cast. I don't know if that's all legit or if they're just throwing people in there, but Russell Crowe is supposed to be Zeus. So I'm intrigued to see where it goes with that.
Well, Matt Damon, Sam Neill, and Liam Hemsworth were the actors.
Well, yeah, and Melissa McCarthy's supposed to be actor Hella.
Oh.
So
I didn't know that. Okay,
I just looked at it. It says Luke is actor Thor, Matt Damon's actor Loki, Sam Neill's actor Odin, Melissa McCarthy actor Hela.
Okay, now I'm interested in seeing her in the movie.
A small little thing, kind of like in Ragnarok, which that actually is kind of funny now. But yeah, that's I got to kind of see what this fourth one does. I think Thor as a character has changed drastically since because of Thor Ragnarok, and then you have Infinity War and Endgame, and we know he's going to be in Guardians 3. So I feel like Thor Love and Thunder is going to be more of a bridge between Endgame and Guardians 3, which is why I think it's like a Guardians 2.5 movie, but with Thor, which is Thor Ragnarok was basically Planet Hulk with Thor in it, and anyone who says otherwise is lying to themselves. But I'm excited to see what they're going to do. Plus, like I said, Natalie Portman being back, I'm 100% sold.
Yeah, I'll talk about this one later.
Okay.
My number 5, Ron.
You said they dropped new photos today?
I saw somebody talking about it on a YouTube video today. They just broke.
I'm literally trying to find pictures of it.
It also has Thor's new armor. It's got some blue and yellow. It's more colorful. My number 5 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1.
We knew talking about that later.
Yeah, we knew there was going to be a sequel. They've said that for a long time now since the first one came out. We were all pleasantly surprised when a trailer dropped, right, with Spider-Man No Way Home, and we were even more surprised that it said Part 1 because we had no idea that their sequel was going to be just like chopped into 2 different things. Yeah. Don't know anything about the plot. Don't know all I know. We've seen this short trailer which shows that obviously a little bit of time has passed. He's a college.
Like the least start of the trailer is the way the movie ends with him.
Well, no, because he's in a college room and her hair is different and everything. So there's been some time has passed. There's even some line about something like that. But not a lot of time. It's not like years and years later.
I think he was in his home bedroom. I really think it ends where the first movie started or ended. So it looked like to me anyway. Time must have passed for her, but
yeah. But I mean, we don't really know anything more about the movie, but it's got the whole returning cast to it. Apparently, we added Oscar Isaac, who showed up at the end of the last one as Spider-Man 2099. Apparently Spider-Woman's in it with Issa Rae voicing her. But basically on the first one alone, it's a Spider-Man. You told me they were going to make a Spider-Man animated movie at the same time that the MCU ones were going. I'm like, why just have double property out there?
And then you had Venom out there as well.
Yeah, and then I saw this movie, the trailer. First of all, like that's kind of cool. I'm curious, and I saw the movie and loved the movie. I mean, the animation style, first of all, is so unique and it's just beautifully done. It's one of the best movies. If I show anyone to show off my home theater system and stuff with 4K, watch that. If you have a system like I saw in theaters in 3D, it's the best 3D I ever saw used in the theater. But then aside from that, I mean, you have Lord and Miller producing it. So a lot of great comedy to it. The movie had a ton of heart to it. The story was really awesome. And they were able to do the whole, multiverse thing. I'm not sure I want them to keep embracing that, but apparently they are. I'm would like to see a straightforward, Miles Morales movie, but it is what it is. Again, kind of like you said with the last one, it's maybe not the movie I want it to be, but I'm not going to count them out. I'm not going to hold against them because they knocked it out of the park with the first one.
I'll talk about here in a little bit. Not since there's only 4 movies left, so it's in there. My number 4. I think anyone who knows me would think this would be my number 1, but due to previous installments and stuff like that, I can't in good conscience make it my most excited movie of the year, and that is Jurassic World Dominion. I love Jurassic Park. I do. It's my favorite movie of all time. I hate saying favorite movie because your favorite movies can change based on age and attitude, stuff like that. But this would be actively Jurassic Park. I always hate when people ask me, "What's your favorite movie?" I go, Jurassic Park. Which one? What do you mean, which one? There's only one Jurassic Park. Every other movie has a different title. But I hate that so much. But Jurassic World, I really enjoyed. Fallen Kingdom is a heaping pile of dog shit. I hate that movie, and because of Fallen Kingdom, I'm heating expectations on Dominion. Now, yes, Dominion's going to have Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, Ellie. Name.
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern. They're all going to be back, and they're supposed to have prominent roles in it. They're not supposed to just be like, Jeff Goldblum saying a line for 2 minutes, and that's line that he's in the movie. There is concept art that has me worried that oh God, please don't do that. And then there are other things that go, okay, that could be really cool. There's talks of a new kind of raptor in the movie. I hope it's not them trying to do an Indo thing, because that whole Indo thing is stupid and I hate it. But I got to see how this ends. Now, will this spawn more movies? I don't know. It kind of depends on the box office, but this is supposed to be the final one of this trilogy. Like I said, Jurassic World I thought was really good. I hated the second one. I got to see how it ends, but it's hard for me not to get excited because it's a dinosaur movie. It really is. But I'm super, super cautious, and that's why it's number 4 and not number 1. But it's still a Jurassic World movie, so I got to be excited about it. But it's like, please don't fuck me on this.
I'll talk about this later.
Okay. You're 4.
My number 3? No, 4.
4.
Is, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange is another MCU movie that I really enjoyed. It's not going to be like, top 5 for me, but I really enjoyed it. He's never been a character who's been huge for me, although I have liked him more and more. It's still not Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm kind of off and on with. But especially after seeing Spider-Man No Way Home, that my anticipation for this shot through the roof, because it's obviously going to continue the multiverse story, which, going into Spider-Man, I was not a big fan of. Although in this one, as far as I know, they're not bringing in alternate versions from other franchises, the Fox versions of any movies, things like that. That's what worried me about the Spider-Man. But this one, as far as I know, it's just dealing with Doctor Strange. Obviously, Wanda plays a big part in it. We don't really know a whole lot more about it. I know Chiwetel Ejiofor's come back, which is a big plus for me because I love him. He's a great actor. A lot of returning cast. Looks like Bruce Campbell's in it, which I actually did not know until just now.
Yeah, I see Bruce Campbell, and I'm like,
which I guess it could be a bit part. It's Sam Raimi's directing it. So, and Bruce Campbell isn't anything Sam Raimi does pretty much.
I feel like his character might be bigger because you highlight his name and it doesn't say who he is.
Well, he also just might not know yet.
Yeah, but I'm hoping it's something big.
Yeah, but this is a movie that, again, we know nothing about it, but just based on the fact that A, it's MCU, B, it's tying into this ongoing story in kind of a big way, not only from Spider-Man, but from previous Doctor Strange and from WandaVision. You'll see where this is all going to go. So I'm really anticipating this movie.
This is my number 3, so I'll just continue with it. The way Doctor Strange's first movie I thought was fine. I really love Chiwetel in that, and I love the way his character was going. I was so worried that they were going to forget about him and just be kind of like with Incredible Hulk when they kind of teased. Oh God, what was not Brainiac, because that's DC, but they tried to tease a new villain in Incredible Hulk, and then they just never continued with it. And I was afraid Mordor was going to be that. But he's back. Got a new hairdo. I'm super excited for it. Obviously, like I said, with the events of WandaVision and Spider-Man No Way Home, we are definitely getting more kind of a story with Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange. I feel like his character is definitely coming in a lot better. I know you're not a fan of it, but also that What If episode definitely helped out with the Doctor Strange.
I was intrigued when I saw the trailer. I'm like, that's clearly tying into it. So.
Yeah. So, and then of course the trailer for it at the end of Spider-Man, which, spoiler, that's the post-credit scene, is basically a trailer for Doctor Strange, has left me very, very intrigued. And because of how well they've been taking care of Doctor Strange so far with these things I mentioned and where WandaVision ended up, I got to see where this goes. I got to see what happens with Wanda. I got to see what's going on with Strange. And like I said, and Chiwetel. Also Bruce Campbell being in it has me really, really excited. I hope it's I want him to either be really, really, really important, or to him kind of be like Spider-Man, where it's like he's like a little snippet of just Bruce Campbell. I don't want any in between. It's got to be one or the other.
I'm going to guess bit part, but we don't know.
I'm super intrigued by this film. I'm super excited for this film. I know you're kind of iffy on the whole multiverse thing. Spider-Man No Way Home kind of helped you with that. I feel like this is the movie that's going to splinter off and potentially give us Fantastic Four and X-Men. I hope it doesn't overtake.
I don't think it'll show them. It might open the door for them, but it's not going to
be like a post-credit or end-credit scene that it might do anything. But it's definitely going to be opening the door, and I'm all for that. So I'm super excited to see that. What was your 3?
All right, so my number 3 you had much lower, but it was on your list, and that is Bullet Train.
Wow, all the way to 3.
All the way to number 3.
Wow. Okay. All right.
First of all, you have David Leitch, who is maybe my favorite like new working director today. Because I mean, this is a guy. Not only is he one of the guys behind like the John Wick movies as far as producing things like that, but he's directed Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2, Fast and the Furious, and he's done a lot of producing and stunt work on tons of other great movies. I love his action style. As far as like action directors today, there aren't a lot of people that come to mind. I mean, Michael Bay's kind of gone off to his thing. But as far as when you think of an action director, there aren't many. But you think of this guy, between him and his partner, Chad Stahelski, who's still doing the John Wick movies, they put out the best action. And I love action movies. It's probably my favorite genre to see. And then, as you pointed out, you put together this superstar cast: Brad Pitt, Joey King, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Zazie Beetz, Michael Shannon, Sandra Bullock, Logan Lerman, Brian Tyree Henry, a bunch of people I haven't heard of. And all we know about it is a bunch of assassins on a bullet train, and that's all I know about it. And I'm sold. I am so excited. I think this is going to be maybe one of the best action movies of the year. It's going to be one of those fun action movies of the year. It'll probably have the most brutal action of the year. And so I'm in, especially now that John Wick 4 got pushed till next year.
Yeah.
This is where it's at.
My number 2 you just spoke about, and that was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. Yeah, I pretty much echoing everything you said. I loved Into the Spider-Verse. I thought it was fantastic. I didn't know how well it was going to be because you have Spider-Pig and you have Spider Noir, which I don't see them on the cast list. That kind of bums me out that we might not get Mulaney and Nick Cage back. But I gotta see where the story goes. The trailer, the animation looks extra wonky, but that could just be because of the trailer they showed. I hope that they kind of stick with the same kind of animation style that we got in the first film and don't try to go. It looked almost like very comic book drawing-esque in the trailer that we saw. Now, granted, he was being sucked through multiple verses in that little trailer that we did get to see. But color me intrigued because this was one of the best films of 2018, 2019?
I believe 18.
So, of course, I'm excited to see this. I love the Miles Morales character. I didn't realize how much I like the Miles Morales character until I actually got to see the Miles Morales character. Haley Steinfeld, we love Haley Steinfeld. Now she's 2 Marvel superheroes right now with Spider-Gwen and now Kate Bishop, or Hawkeye, whatever you want to call her now. So I would love just to continue the story. I wish, or at least I hope, we see some of the other cast as well in it. But we'll see. Maybe they come in part 2. Who knows? But yeah, it's hard not to be excited for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. And actually, I wasn't too worried about the animation style because there was definitely some of that style from the first movie, and the rest of it I think could be very much work in progress. I mean, by the end of the trailer, you're looking at basically pencil sketches. So
that's what I'm saying. Is like that's what it looked like. It looked like comic books.
Still work in progress.
Yeah. And but with Sony, they could be like, no, this is the world that they're in. I'm just like, I don't know if I like that, but it also could just been unfinished, animation, which that's fine. That's fine. Just for what they showed, I'm just like, I wasn't sure if that was unfinished or if that's just the way it was. And
I think it's almost definitely unfinished. I don't know that for certain, but
it didn't heed my expectations any less.
Yeah.
It's still my number 2 most anticipated film of the year. But yeah.
My number 2 is Thor: Love and Thunder. Really, when the first Thor movie came out, I was really, he's probably was the person I was least interested in as far as the Avengers, things like that. But once we had Avengers, I really liked the take on his character. They made him lighter, they made him more jokey, and he's still kind of, and he's again a character who can poke fun of themselves. And as it went on farther, and especially once you got to Thor Ragnarok, he's become maybe one of my favorite Avengers or MCU characters. Because Chris Hemsworth, I think, does great comedy as well as great action. I think that he knows how to poke fun of himself. He can have fun, but he can be serious at times. Does good with dramatic roles. But then you have, like you said, you're bringing back Jane Foster. You're bringing back Natalie Portman, the gorgeous Natalie Portman. Not even just as like the girlfriend role, but apparently in a very major role.
Yeah,
a very major role. She gets to see some action, gets to wear some kick-ass gear. I think take a cool new take on the character and see where it goes from there. Christian Bale. I'm not a huge Christian Bale fan, but having him in it is a good thing. And Taika Waititi, he's said several times in interviews that this movie is so weird. He's surprised they're letting him make it. And that really intrigues me because his movies like Thor Ragnarok or Jojo Rabbit were already so weird. So to say that he's already done Ragnarok and this one is by far even weirder by his accounts, that he's even surprised he's getting to make it. I'm very curious to see what he's going to do with it. The only thing you could have done to heighten my interest more is to put in the Guardians of the Galaxy because I love the Guardians and they put them in here too. Now, I don't know if it's like for 5 minutes at the beginning or for the whole movie. I don't know.
They could just be dropping them off somewhere and then leave, but we don't know.
Yeah, but just having them in it, this is easily my number 2 most anticipated movie of the year.
Hearing that as your number 2 and knowing what you haven't talked about yet, it makes me weird to think that my number 1 is not even on your list.
You are correct.
I am shocked by that. So go ahead with your number 1 since I already spoke about it.
My number 1 is Jurassic Park Dominion.
Jurassic World. Dominion.
I'm sorry. I knew that too. I just got excited there. I love the Jurassic World movies. I think that the first Jurassic World is as good as, if not just slightly, but below the original Jurassic Park, in my opinion. I really loved everything they did with that movie. Fallen Kingdom gets a lot of shit. It's definitely not as good as the first one, but I still enjoy it. I still enjoy. They made some decisions I didn't completely agree with, but I still think it's a fun movie, and I watch it and I enjoy it very much. And then this one, you're going to take, like you said, the new Jurassic World cast and the Jurassic Park cast and mix them, and not just in cameos. Basically, they're equal parts from what we understand throughout the entire movie. And you're bringing back Colin Trevorrow, who did the first Jurassic World. And I am very curious to see where they go with this. And I think you could see plenty of dinosaurs on, American soil doing their thing, running rampant. And if you saw that short they did, The Bad Day at Black Rock or something like that.
Yeah, where it looks like the T-Rex is
like at a campground and the dinosaurs were attacking. I thought that was kind of a really good tease of where they were.
They also released the first 5 minutes of the movie as well.
And then they recently put out the prologue, which it's got dinosaurs, it's got awesome special effects, it's got a great cast. I love the franchise. There's almost no way this was not going to be my number 1 of the year.
I don't understand how my number 1 is not even in your most anticipated, because everything that I've seen about this film, I just keep loving and loving and loving.
We've discussed this though. Anyway, go ahead.
And that's the Batman. I mean, it looks fucking great. Pattinson, like at first I was like, Pattinson, but then you got to think about who the director is, and the director is Matt Reeves, who did the Planet of the Apes trilogy, which I love so much, especially the last 2 films. So knowing that he's doing a Batman film has basically made me trust him unabashedly with anything he does. Making Pattinson be Batman, I was like, okay, we'll see what he does. But what I've seen, not necessarily of his Bruce Wayne, but of his Batman, is fucking amazing. Colin Farrell as Penguin looks unrecognizable. But I'm excited to see what he does. Paul Dano as the Riddler, I think, is perfect casting. Oh God, I'm blanking. Not Zazie Beetz.
Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. The latest trailer to me really sold that on her. The way it's shot, the way the action is shot, the way Batman is just so like he'll just walk through bullets, and the brutality of the way this is shot, the darker tones of the way everything's going through this. I think this movie looks flippin' amazing. And how this is not even remotely on your anticipated list is baffling to me. It's baffling.
Number 1, I'm sick of Batman. I think.
How can you be sick of Batman?
I think I'm just sick of Batman. I'm sick of Batman reboots. I'm sick of starting over again and again and again. and I'm just like, can we just tell other stories and not have another Batman for a while? I wish they would. Honestly, Dark Knight Rises, I was not excited about. The Dark Knight was an amazing film, but that was based almost entirely on Heath Ledger's iconic role as the Joker. I think that Christian Bale as Batman was just kind of okay, to be honest with you. So Matt Reeves is definitely a big plus in this. I mean, there are things about this that I like. Andy Serkis, I love seeing him in this. Colin Farrell, like you said, is unrecognizable from what I understand, though. He's barely in this movie. Is basically setting up his character for like the HBO Max series or something that he's doing with the character. But Robert Pattinson, I have nothing against the guy. He obviously is more than just, Twilight Boy. He's done a lot of stuff since then to show that he really can act. But I don't find him charismatic that makes me want to watch him either. I was bored by him in Tenet. Zoe Kravitz, I think, is okay. I hate her look. When I saw the trailer, I was really less interested in her character than I was before I saw the trailer. You got Barry Keoghan in here, who we just saw in Eternals. He makes any movie he's in worse. Because I hate that kid. This is a very punchable face. But mostly it's just it's just the franchise. I'm just like, I don't dislike Batman. I'm just bored with it. It's just like they came with it. I'm like, oh, okay, it's another Batman they're doing again. It's like, and I'm sure I'll see it. And again, I hope it's good, but it wasn't on my anticipated list because I'm not like, ooh, I can't wait to see it, because I'm not. I'm just.
Wow, we couldn't be further and further apart on this. And I figured, like, when you see your number 2, and I was like, wait, math.
I was wondering at what point you're gonna do the math. Like, wait.
No, like you like go if you go back and watch the video. As soon as you said Thor: Love and Thunder is number 2, you see my.
I was watching you. I saw that, and I knew exactly what you were thinking too.
Like, wait a second. I know Jurassic World's still there. Oh wow, I cannot believe this is not at all. Like, not even in 35 movies. You picked movies that you're just like, yeah, let's see what it is.
It's a movie that I'll see, and like I said, I hope it's good. But I'm not. If we're talking most anticipated, I'm not, because they could have just as well not made this movie, and I'd have been fine.
I mean, you say that about any movie. But, wow. Okay. But yes, for me, The Batman is my most anticipated film. Comes out in March, and then HBO Max in April, which I thought was a weird decision.
Yeah, well, it's weird to me they announced it ahead of time, because they obviously Warner Brothers was doing away with their whole day and date thing that they experimented with for 1 year. But a lot of movies now have a 45-day window instead of waiting like 6. It used to be like 6. It used to be almost a year, or it's something in home video. Then it was 6 months. Then it was 3 months.
3 months. Yeah.
Now it's like, since the pandemic, like the standard seems to be like 45 days, like a month and a half, and that's why you'll see a lot of stuff like, I don't know, Last Night at Soho, for instance, it came in like a month and a half later. You can rent it online for a premium amount or whatever. In this case, they're apparently going to do that with the Batman. They're going to wait 45 days and then put it on HBO Max. But I think by announcing that ahead of time, they shoot themselves in the foot, because it's like, people are like, oh, I can wait 45 days. So I mean,
for maybe the non-Batman fans, but I think anyone who's a Batman fan is not going to wait 45 days, because the movie's going to be spoiled in 45 days.
It's not much to spoil. It's Batman. You're not going to spoil anything because there's nothing new. It's the same story again and again and again.
Not true. So not true. Anyway, we're gonna have. I didn't realize we would be this divisive about Batman. This is gonna be a weird thing in 3 months when this movie comes out. We're just all like, and I was like, it was great, or oh my god, it sucked. You're like, see, told you. So it's like, but yeah, okay. Was not expecting that when I shot this video today. But anyway, that's our most anticipated of 2022. I'm sure most of these is on your list, or probably on everybody's list, especially the number 1, unless your name's Brian Michaels. But yeah, so that kind of ends our week of super long filming for these shows, each one going over 2 hours, which if y'all think it's hard, you guys watching us for 2 hours, think about me having to edit these, because it takes like 4 hours to edit these videos. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys did, go and hit that like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. Of course, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming up next, we get a little bit of a break. I think the first movie really that's coming out this year is Scream, which is like in 9 days. So nothing really happening on here for the next 9 days or so. Cyrano, unless that comes out early. Tragedy of Macbeth, and then Black Phone. I think those are the only real 4 movies that I recall really coming out this month.
Yeah, there's the 355 is this weekend.
I don't care about 355.
Morbius got moved, so yeah, that's pretty much all that's left.
April Fool's Day, which to me just kind of right there. So yeah, shocking. Morbius was not on either one of ours lists.
Quick side note for anyone who played at home with Sean's over/under of 5 movies that are different. We had 21 different movies.
Like, yeah, you just kept going.
Shared movies.
You just kept going. I was like, none of our pictures are the same. I was going to make it even harder to edit now because now I got to find pictures for all those movies you picked.
And most of my stuff doesn't have pictures yet. So
yeah, this is a black screen with the word text, which you guys probably have seen because I put the pictures up. But yeah, like I said, Brian and I, we're not doing the Weekend Crusaders anymore, at least for the next year or two. We have other things planned. When we're going to do those things is another entire story. We're probably not going to do anything in January, just kind of give us a nice little breather away from having to shoot every week. But we do have something planned in February. We are in the midst of going over all that. It's just whether or not we're going to drop it at a certain date, or if we're going to wait till the end of the month. I think we're going to drop it on that certain date instead of waiting to the end of the month. But we have certain things here and there we're going to be doing. Just allows us a little more free will and free time to do what we want. And whether we just want to do a random show talking about a certain topic, or whether we want to do something that's very dedicated to a certain subject around the time of the year, it allows us to do that. And that's what we're going to do. And then, not to say that Weekend Crusaders won't come back, but we just want to give it a little breathing room to allow us for more options of movies to talk about. But I hope you guys enjoyed 2021 that we did so far with all our shows, with the most disappointing, surprising, best and worst, and all the Weekend Crusader stuff. 2022 hopefully brings us just as much fun, just as many great movies, just as many stinker movies. Hopefully not that's on our lists here, that we can have fun and talk about. To the year ahead, Brian, I know you'll be with me through that. You've been with me already for over a year now, and you haven't got sick of me yet.
Such conclusions, but
yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll add more people, maybe not. It might just be me and Brian. But for right now, the Movie Crusaders is going strong, and we thank you all for being with us as long as you guys have, and continue to grow. So until next time, in case we don't see you, I'm Sean Wasserkrug. That is Brian Michaels. We are the Movie Crusaders. Until next time, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.